All right, well, welcome aboard here. We're the three gigs minus one. We're missing Jim today. This is Craig. He represents the owner. I'm Paul. I represent the subcontractor. Today we're going to be talking about the all-important geotechnical report, otherwise known as a soils report on the project, right? Craig, what is a soils report?
Soils report is something that every owner should buy and pay for if they're considering purchasing a site.
Right, and who's going to do that?
Who's going to
Do the actual
work?
soils report, right?
Geotechnical companies, engineering firms.
Consultant, right?
And they will provide a full range. Most owners kind of ask for the short menu, which would be put a couple of borings in the site, maybe do a little bit of a trench.
So they go out there with an augering machine, they do an auger, take an auger down,
right,
and then they record the conditions as they bring stuff up out of the ground. And if they hit some rock, they record that.
Right. It's like what we've seen in National Geographic. They will drive down a cylinder, and then they will pull that cylinder up, and then they will look at the soil and what's in there. And you'll get a map that says at 5 foot down, from 0 to 5 foot, you got this. From 5 foot to 2 foot, you got this. All the way down to
rock,
a specific
and the kind of rock, the size of rock, so on. And so, how reliable are these? And can we use them in any kind of meaningful way in the industry? What do we do with them?
Well, they have to be used in a meaningful way. Otherwise, I can't build my building. How reliable are they? They are 100% reliable every place that they
tested.
Actually
did it, right?
But if you're doing 8 borings on a 12-acre site, and you're doing a bit of a trench because maybe you thought there was a fault line, the geologists would be looking at other records prior to going out there, and they may say, there's something here, or the way the land looks, it looks like this could have been a slide area. Sure. We want to do a trench and see if we can find literally a fault or some kind of a problem. Everything they touch, you can count on.
Right. And we're going to get a lot more information from that as well. The kind of soil, if it might be contaminated, whether it's expansive.
Only if I pay for it.
Okay, so yeah, that's going to be the extra part of the menu, right?
Usually an owner will not only do the geology, basic geology, full disclosure, many geologists will come out and say, based on the site, based on what we have seen in the history, we think we should do 12 borings, and the owner will go, 6 is all I'm paying for.
Right.
So you find the 6 most important areas. Right. And while you're out there, let's do what's called a phase 1 environmental. So do some basic testing for
contaminated soil.
Contaminated soil.
Yeah. The basic things, asbestos.
Right. Right.
So now, the interesting thing about this is that through these things, so let's say borings, excavations, trenching, X-ray or sonar, anything that they can get a feel for what's underground. Right. They're looking for rock formation. They're looking for slop. They're looking for running soil. They're looking for contaminated soil.
They're looking for water.
They're looking for water, for dry conditions, whatever it might be, so that they first of all help the structural engineer for the conditions that are on the site.
Absolutely. Fundamentally critical. Can't tell your structural engineer to design a foundation unless they know what the dirt is that foundation is sitting on.
The next thing, it helps anybody who's going to be digging in the soil at all. So
underground subs,
grading contractors, underground wet utility, dry utility contractors, people who are digging foundations. Anybody who touches the soil at all is going to help us.
Right.
But the interesting thing is that we will typically have this before we bid the job. Anyway, we hope we do. The more information we have on a geotechnical report, the higher the price goes. So that's one of the reasons why the owner is sometimes, we call it negligent, but reticent to provide an entire, very comprehensive report.
Correct.
Because they're paying for the report, but then they also end up with a higher bid.
Now, and we've touched on contracts before, but this is kind of an example of where, as an owner, You have to look at the reality of what you're getting from the contractor and how much risk you want to take and how much you want to give to them. Your bid, if the general contractor, I might have a cost plus agreement
Right.
with the contractor. Yours will not be.
No, and I'm going to exclude, all
Right.
of the things that I don't understand about your soil.
Right.
So I'm going to give you clear definitions on what I dig for my money, and then after that, it's going to be on the owner anyway.
So if there might be some rock there, but there might not be some rock
Right.
there, wouldn't I, as an owner, want to spend even more money to find that rock? The answer is no,
Yeah.
Because if I do find some rock, your stip sum is going to be affected by, oh, there is rock out there. Maybe I'll hit it, maybe I won't, but I'm putting my number in because
As
it's
if I were going to.
as if I was
Right.
going to, as opposed to, okay,
we might get lucky.
We'll negotiate a change order if we hit rock.
Right. The bottom line, though, we get down to the end of this thing. I read the whole report. How many pages?
150,
Okay, 150,
200.
200 pages. And then at the bottom line, it says, oh, by the way, you can't rely on this.
Right. Which makes owners pull their hair out.
Exactly right.
Because ultimately, you're going to have change orders.
Right. And it's the only thing we can rely on. So we do.
Yeah.
So there you have it.
The best you can.
That's what a soil report is, and it's an all-important document that we all rely on, whether the soils tech says we should or not.
Right. Thanks for watching. If you like this, give us a thumbs up and subscribe, and we'll talk to you in the future.
Yeah.